Hey everybody! So today we're going to talk about aspect patterns. Specifically, we're going to talk about the mystic rectangle. I just made this and I just made this video and some stupid ass bug came and like flew, like hit me in the head. It was so stupid. So hopefully it's like fucked off and it's gone now and it's going to go do its bug shit somewhere else. Anyway, we're going to talk about the mystic rectangle today. But before I start, I want to make mention that with these videos, the aspect pattern videos, or any of them, that I am not saying that I am universally correct for everybody in my approach. I'm correct for me. I feel like I am correct for me. I am not saying that the way that I do it is necessarily the way that you should do it, right? If you feel called to do it like I do it, or take some things from the videos and incorporate them into how you read, awesome. I think that's cool. But if you're like, this bitch is crazy, I am hate watching her, whatever. I'm not trying to say, nothing that I say in these videos, I'm not saying that that what I do is the only right way. It's right for me. So anybody that has an issue with the way that I do it, that's fine. We can have like a discussion about it if you want to, but you can take any sort of like arguments that are, you know what I mean? There's a difference between discussing something and just wanting to fucking fight with somebody. If that's what you're wanting to do, just fucking fight. You can take that shit to somebody else that is sitting there and shoving shit down your throat and trying to tell you that they're the way that they do something is the only right way to do it. Take those fucking fights to somebody like that, because I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it with you. Because I'm not saying that my approach is the only right way. It's right for me. It may not be right for you. So just want to throw that out there first. But so what is a mystic rectangle? It's an aspect pattern. It's a rectangle, or the mystic fucktangle, as me and Natalie like to call it. It looks like one planet here, one planet here, one planet here, one planet here. You got 2 sextiles, 2 trines, and 2 oppositions. So we also talk about this in the Star Cards book in the section that deals with aspect patterns. Okay, so let's say you had, I don't know, you got Pluto, and it is trine the moon. The sun and the moon are sextile. Mars and the sun are trine. And then Mars and Pluto are sextile. That would be a mystic rectangle. And then Pluto and the sun would be opposite one another, and the moon and Mars would be opposite one another. Now that is something that I think everybody can agree on. That is what a mystic rectangle is. Sometimes you might see more planets involved, right? Like if the moon in this example had like Uranus conjunct it, there would be 5 planets involved in the mystic rectangle, but you need to at least see 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You need to at least see 4. I think that is something that everybody can agree on. Now, where people might deviate a little bit, traditionally, the definition, you want to see the mystic rectangle. You want to see the planets either in the feminine or masculine polarities. All of them in one of those. Now I'm not as strict about that. It really does depend on the whole chart as to how I will roll with that. But I'm not as strict about that. Like if you've got 3 planets and they're in the masculine polarity and one of them is in the feminine polarity, but the orb is still really tight. I don't know, let's say you've got, I'm probably gonna fuck this up. Let's say you've got like the moon at 28 degrees Aquarius, you have the sun at 28 degrees Aries, you have Mars at 28 degrees Leo. And then let's say you have Pluto at 0 degrees Scorpio in the feminine polarity. And the other 3 were in the masculine polarity. That's still pretty tight. I would probably count it. Probably. I say probably because this is a make-believe chart. It would depend on what else is going on in the chart, but I wouldn't take it off the table just because Pluto happens to not be in Libra in the masculine polarities. It would just really depend, but I wouldn't take it off the table. But that is just me personally. You might be like, no, I'm taking it off the table if it's not in a masculine, if they're not all in the same polarity, and that's fine. This is a place where people tend to deviate a little bit. Some people are much more firm about it. Some people are more open. You know, whatever works for you, works for you. Same thing with the orbs. I like to keep, you know, the tighter the orb of the planets in an aspect, a regular aspect, like just a general trine or a general sextile or what have you, or in aspect patterns, the tighter the orb between the planet or between the planets, the more of an impact that aspect will probably have in the person's life. Generally. Not universal, but generally. That does tend to be the case. So, you know, like, okay, let's say you have Pluto at 15 degrees Libra, Moon at 15 degrees Aquarius, Sun at 15 degrees Aries, Mars at 15 degrees Leo. They're all at 15 degrees. That's a fucking tight ass mystic fuck tangle. It is. There, you know, that's very tight. This aspect, something like that in somebody's chart, it might play a bigger role in the native's life than, say, if they were all at, you know, different degrees, all still forming the mystic rectangle, but not as tight. The degrees weren't as tight between one another. So that does matter. That definitely does matter. I tend to use 5 degrees applying and separating from the planets when I'm doing this, when I'm looking at aspects, when I'm looking at aspect patterns. I do pay more attention to them when they're tighter. Just because the tighter the orb, the more power or more prevalence it probably has in the native's life. Now, the mystic rectangle is actually, it's very, so trines, talking about a series of trines and a series of sextiles with 2 oppositions. So the sextiles, they are consciously creative. They generally bring opportunity, and it's a conscious, not that trines aren't conscious, but trines can get lazy, whereas the sextiles don't have that tendency quite so much. But trines can get lazy. The trines are ease and harmony, but yeah, they can get lazy. So the mystic rectangle, while it's, you know, a harmonious aspect, you know, it's harmonious, the actual rectangle shape is harmonious. Unlike the grand trine, which is nothing but ease and really can get lazy, the mystic rectangle does have 2 oppositions. Like in the example I used here, you know, we've got Pluto and the Sun opposite one another, and then the Moon and Mars. Moon and Mars opposite one another. So, unlike with something like the grand trine, where there's no friction within the aspect pattern, there might be friction to the other planets, you know, the planets in the aspect pattern to other planets outside of it. There's no friction within the pattern itself. The mystic rectangle does have that challenge. It does have that challenge. The oppositions are the challenge. Now, it is so important that the person, to be able to use the mystic rectangle to its full potential or to its best benefit, the person needs to balance those oppositions. Those oppositions are very, 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 very important for the mystic rectangle to function in the best possible way that it can. This is how all of these energies, all these different trines and sextiles are able to keep a fire lit under their ass. and you know, that, so, but if they're not balanced, if those oppositions aren't balanced, that'll throw the entire mystic rectangle off. So if you have one of these in your chart, definitely take a look, see what planets are in opposition, and become very familiar with those planets and how those oppositions factor into your life. And of course, you'll also want to take into account the sign, the house they fall in, you know, all of that, the entire chart. But definitely, you know, pay attention to those oppositions, because balancing those oppositions is what helps make this aspect really, once those oppositions are balanced and you keep them balanced, right? And they can be thrown off balance via transit, via synastry, via all kinds of shit. But as long as you're working to maintain the balance between those planets in opposition, and you have achieved balance, the mystic rectangle is really one of the most stable of all of the aspect patterns, and really probably one of the most productive. It really is. So this one can really be a gift for people. It really can be, but it does need to be, those oppositions do need to be balanced or kept in check or whatever, to really be able to utilize this aspect pattern. Anyway, I am going to get going. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can find us at Let's Fuck with Astrology. I'm at Saturn Season Astrology on Instagram. Natalie is at Abaturno Astrology on Instagram. If you want to like or subscribe or whatever the fuck people do with videos on YouTube, you can find us by searching for Let's Fuck with Astrology in the YouTube search bar. If you do the Reddit thing, come join us on the subreddit Let's Fuck with Astrology. And if you're interested in the star cards, go to letsfuckwithastrology.com/star-cards. Okay, y'all. I'll see y'all later.